The state government. The discussion that took place in the previous chapter concludes that what affects us must be decided by us. However, the four students wondered how it was possible. A lesson on government clarified their doubts and increased their desire to know more about the functioning of the state government. In this chapter, the teacher will clear their doubts simultaneously. Teacher, our country is governed at three levels: local, state, and central. The governments formed in a state are known as state governments. The powers of a state government apply only within the boundaries of a state. The states can make laws on the subjects which are included in the state list. The state list includes subjects like police, agriculture, land revenue, fisheries, irrigation, etc. The party that wins majority of seats in the state elections forms the government. The state government makes laws to govern and also satisfy the general needs of the people. The organ that performs these functions is known as the legislature. The parties failing to get majority seats acts as opposition. The state legislature consists of either one or two houses. If there is only one house, it is called unicameral legislature, and that house is known as the Legislative Assembly or the Vidhan Sabha. It is the lower house of the state legislature. There are some states having the second house also. This house is known as the Legislative Council or Vidhan Parishad. It is the upper house of the state. States having two houses in the state legislature are called bicameral legislature. Suman. Who are MLAs? Teacher. The members of the Vidhan Sabha are known as members of the Legislative Assembly, MLAs. The state is divided into many small areas called constituencies at the time of elections. Voters of that constituency elect one person to represent them. The Vidhan Sabha comprises of directly elected representatives by the people from the constituencies within the state. Yash. Who can be elected to the Legislative Assembly? Teacher. A candidate contesting the assembly elections of a state should be a citizen of India, a voter in any constituency of that state, not less than 25 years of age, and in the case of a seat reserved for the scheduled caste or the scheduled tribes, a member of any of those castes or tribes. Tanishka. Teacher, please tell us how a bill is passed by the state legislature. Teacher. The process of making and passing laws is called legislation. A bill is a proposal of law that can originate in either house of the state assembly. The members of the Legislative Council and the Legislative Assembly both are involved in the law making procedure. Suman. But what are the steps followed in the process of making a law? Teacher. There are two kinds of bills. One is the ordinary bill and other is the money bill. Ordinary bills are introduced in either of the two houses of the state legislature, the Vidhan Sabha or the Vidhan Parishad. They can be introduced either by a minister or any other private member. The passage of a bill involves three stages called three readings. The first reading involves the introduction of the bill. The member who introduces the bill explains the reason to introduce it. The second reading consists of a general discussion on the proposed bill. The House may also refer it to a committee known as the Select Committee. The bill is discussed clause by clause in the House. This is followed by the third reading of the bill, in which mainly voting on the bill takes place. If it is passed, then the Speaker of the Legislative Assembly signs it and sends it to the Vidhan Parishad for further procedure. The same procedure is followed in the Vidhan Parishad. If the Vidhan Parishad also passes the bill, it is sent to the governor for his assent and the bill becomes an act. Yash. Can there be a situation in which the Legislative Council or Vidhan Parishad does not pass the bill? Teacher. Yes. In case the bill, after being sent to the Legislative Council for its consideration, a period of more than 3 months have lapsed without the bill being passed by it, or the Legislative Council passes the bill with certain amendments to which Legislative Assembly does not agree and passes the bill again, it becomes obligatory for the Vidhan Parishad to consider the bill within 30 days. If this duration of 30 days is over or the bill is rejected by the Vidhan Parishad, it is considered as passed by both the houses and is sent to the governor for his assent, after which the bill becomes an act. But the procedure of passing the money bill is different. A money bill can be introduced or originated only in the Vidhan Sabha by a minister with the prior consent of the governor. The money bill is first passed in the Vidhan Sabha and is then sent to the Vidhan Parishad. The Vidhan Parishad must return the bill within 14 days. If it fails to do so within the stipulated time of 14 days, the money bill is said to be passed and sent to the governor for his assent. So now we can even compare the Vidhan Sabha and the Vidhan Parishad. For example, the ordinary bill can originate in any house, but the money bill can be introduced only in the Vidhan Sabha or the lower house. Teacher. Also, the two houses have unequal powers in case of ordinary bills. There is no provision of a joint sitting of the two houses in case of any differences between them. The Vidhan Parishad can only delay the passage of the bill by 3 months. We also know that the money bills are introduced only in Vidhan Sabha and Vidhan Parishad can delay it only by 14 days. The ministers are responsible and accountable to the Vidhan Sabha. The members of the Vidhan Parishad can only ask questions. In addition to this, the members of the Vidhan Parishad do not participate in the election of the President of India. Who can be elected to the Legislative Council? Teacher. To become a member of a Legislative Council, Vidhan Parishad, a person needs to be a citizen of India, should have his or her name on the voters list of the state, should not be below 30 years of age, and should be mentally sound and not a bankrupt. The territorial constituencies have been set up to ensure proportional representation in the assembly. States with a large population will have a proportionally larger assembly. Uttar Pradesh, the most populous state of India, has 404 members in the Legislative Assembly. Yash. Is there any limit for the number of seats in the Legislative Assembly? Teacher. Yes, the Constitution has set an upper and the lower limit for the number of seats in a Legislative Assembly. Its total number of members cannot exceed 500 or be less than 60. However, thinly populated states like Goa, Mizoram, Nagaland, and Sikkim have less than 60 members. Raj. Who leads the state legislative assembly? Teacher. The legislative assembly is led by the speaker and deputy speaker who are elected by the MLAs. The speaker conducts the functioning of the legislative assembly. What is the duration of an assembly? Teacher. The normal term of the legislative assembly is 5 years. Under certain circumstances, however, the governor can dissolve the house before the completion of its term. Raj. Under what circumstances can a governor dissolve the house before the completion of its term? Teacher. During a state of emergency, its term can be extended beyond 5 years or it may be dissolved earlier. The assembly can be dissolved if a motion of no confidence is passed against the government. Raj. But what does dissolution mean? Teacher. To dissolve the house means that the assembly is no more in existence. Fresh elections are held in the state. This is because people have lost faith in the government. Suman. What is a Vidhan Parishad? Teacher. The second house of the legislature is Vidhan Parishad or the Legislative Council. Only 6 states in India have a legislative council. The existence of the Vidhan Parishad depends upon the will of the Vidhan Sabha. The members of the Vidhan Parishad are known as members of the legislative councils, MLCs. Raj. What is the composition of a Vidhan Parishad? Teacher. The Vidhan Parishad is not elected directly by the people but by a body of electors who exercise the power on behalf of the people. As per in the Indian Constitution, 1/3 members of the Vidhan Parishad are elected by the Vidhan Sabha. 1/3 are elected by the members of the local bodies in the state. 1/12 members of the Vidhan Parishad are elected by teachers who have taught in secondary schools and above for more than 3 years. Another 1/12 are elected by graduates for 3 years standing in the state. Rest of the 16% members are not elected. They are nominated by the governor. These members should be well known in the field of art, literature, science, social service or cooperative movement. Raj. What is the duration of a Vidhan Parishad? Teacher. The Vidhan Parishad is a permanent house. Each member of the Vidhan Parishad is elected for a term of 6 years. 1/3 of its members retire after every 2 years. Parth. What are the functions of state legislature? Teacher. The state legislature makes laws on the 66 subjects given in the state list. It also makes laws on 47 subjects given under the concurrent list. It passes the money bill and the budget of the state. It passes the ordinances issued by the governor of the state when the assembly of the state is not in session. Ratification of the amendments made by the Parliament related to the powers of the state government. It exercises control over the executive by way of asking questions and criticizing the wrong policies of the government while giving suggestions. Yash. Who is the head of the state or who takes care of state administration? Teacher. The governor is the constitutional head of the state. He or she administers with the help of the chief minister and his council of ministers. The union territories are administered by the president. The president appoints a suitable officer for this purpose. Yash. How is the governor of state appointed? Teacher. Governor of a state is appointed by the President of India in consultation with the Prime Minister. The President can appoint any person as governor who is a citizen of India, not less than 35 years of age, not a member of the Parliament or any state legislature, and not holding any office of profit under the government. Raj. What is the term of office of a governor? Teacher. The governor is appointed for a period of 5 years, but he may be removed or shifted to other states during this period. He is accountable to the President of India and holds office during the pleasure of the President. Therefore, the governor acts not only as the constitutional head of the state but also as agent of the central government in the state. Raj. What are the powers and responsibilities of the governor? Teacher. The governor exercises executive powers, legislative powers, judicial powers, discretionary powers, financial power. Number 1. Executive powers. All the executive powers are vested in the governor. He exercises these powers with the aid and advice of the Council of Ministers headed by the Chief Minister. The executive powers vested in him are as follows. The leader of the majority party in the state legislative assembly is appointed by the governor as the chief minister of the state. He appoints other ministers on the advice of the chief minister. Advocate General of the state, chairman, and members of the State Public Service Commission are also appointed by him. He is consulted by the President while appointing the judges of the High Court. Judges of the subordinate courts are also appointed by him. Number 2. Legislative powers.
A bill becomes an act only after the approval of the governor.
The governor summons the session of the state legislature. The governor can even dissolve the state legislative assembly on the advice of the chief minister. 1/6 of the members of the legislative council are appointed by the governor. The governor can also promulgate ordinances. Number 3. Judicial powers. The President appoints judges of the State High Court in consultation with the governor. The governor grants pardons and may reduce or suspend the sentence of any person. Discretionary powers. In certain circumstances, the governor exercises powers on his own. In such cases, he may not act according to the advice of the Council of Ministers. If governor is satisfied that the administration of the state is not being carried in accordance with the constitutional provisions, in that case, President's rule can be imposed in the state. He can then reserve any bill passed by the state legislature for the consideration of the President. When no party has an absolute majority in the Vidhan Sabha, then governor has the discretion to appoint the chief minister of the majority party whom he thinks can prove his majority in the assembly. Number 5. Financial powers. The governor sees that annual state budget is laid in the state assembly. Money bills can be introduced only after the prior permission of the governor. No demand for grant can be made without the governor's recommendation. Yash, what are the qualifications to become chief minister? Teacher, qualifications to become a chief minister are the same as those of any other member of the assembly. The leader of the majority party in the legislative assembly is appointed as the chief minister of the state. Raj, what are the powers or functions of the chief minister? Teacher, the chief minister is appointed by the governor, while other ministers are appointed by the governor on the advice of the chief minister. He assigns or allocates the portfolios to the ministers. He can ask any minister to resign at any time. He is the leader of the legislative assembly. He presides over the meetings of the cabinet. The Speaker of the Legislative Assembly prepares the schedule of meetings in consultation with the Chief Minister. He acts as a link between the Governor and the Council of Ministers. All decisions of the Council of Ministers are communicated to the Governor by the Chief Minister. In this way, the different institutions play a vital role in maintaining law and under a democratic setup. It also becomes vital in accommodating the differences emerging in such a diverse social setup.